request for you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Scott McCrae. I'm a Shackley ambassador here in Lakewood, Colorado. We are always diving into health topics. Tonight's topic is related to the last newsletter that is coming out to you. If you are not on the What's New newsletter subscription program, this is something you need to talk with the person that invited you to this call. Tonight's topic is the topic of stress. So I am going to pull up my slides, which always takes a little second when I'm doing these, and we'll get rolling here. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the weeds on what the newsletter is. That's a surprise if you haven't got it yet, but it's a great read. Stress is something that is affecting everybody all the time. In fact, since we are 10 days-ish away from the Christmas day, if you celebrate Christmas, you understand, you have interactions with people, you have perhaps gifts if you do that sort of thing, you have special foods that you might like to prepare, or parties that you are planning to put together, all on top of what you already found out you could do with a 24-hour day. You are adding this stuff on top. So this is a good time of year to talk about this issue, stress. So let's talk a little bit about stress. It's not really the stress that gets you, it's the cortisol. So what is cortisol? It's a stress hormone. The the thing that's misunderstood about, I think, cortisol is that it's not all bad. We need it to survive. It's something that shows up when our environment changes. So when it comes to regulating our diet, when it comes to how we control inflammatory response when we eat something, our cardiovascular system, including blood pressure, how our immune system is functioning, and how we sleep is all affected by cortisol. So it's not a matter that cortisol is the problem. It's the fact that when you're under stress, that cortisol never shuts off. And that's where we start running into problems. There was a lecturer, Dr. Bruce Miller, some of you probably remember him. And I remember one of the things that he said about stress. He says, it's really like a bowling ball going 100 miles an hour through a china shop in your body. That's what cortisol does to us when we have it all the time and when we have it in large amounts. So what triggers this thing? Well, first of all, is the psychological stress. This is the perceived stress. So if you are a person who worries a lot, as somebody also said, worry is cashing checks from a bank where you don't even have a bank account. So this psychological fantasy that we put ourselves in that things could go wrong creates cortisol. So this is work pressure, deadlines, like tonight's stress presentation. That was a deadline, right? Financial relationship stress. A lot of people stay up thinking about how am I going to pay the bills? So maybe that's another Shackley conversation we need to have about with people. Maybe they need to add another income stream, right? Physical stress, illness, injury, pain. If you are a really like hard CrossFit kind of person, or like Terry here who runs these ultra marathons, when you put your body in those physical stress situations, that also triggers cortisol. Low blood sugar. So if you're fasting, skipping meals, restrictive diet plans, and those types of things will also trigger cortisol production. Not enough sleep. I'm guilty as charged. So short sleep durations, disrupted sleep, all these things will trigger cortisol. Inflammation. So if you go to a high fat, high carbohydrate, nasty meal and your inflammatory response goes up, your body's going to produce cortisol to counter that. Also, when you have an infection, whether it happens to be a viral infection or something bacterial or even a bee sting, those types of things, is activating your immune system, signal stress, cortisol is produced. And then if any of you are super addicted to caffeine, or if you're on this call and you've seen a recording of this call and you realize that you're having a Red Bull all the time or one of these Monster energy drinks, those are going to be producing cortisol at higher levels in your body. So it responds to what we perceive as a demand or an imbalance in our body, but it also is when we have an actual demand in an imbalance in our body that cortisol is produced. So that's where it comes from. All right, so I picked out probably the top four things that stress and cortisol levels going up are going to affect you and your health. Number one is sugar and weight gain. So whenever cortisol tells the liver to release glucose, your blood sugar levels are going up. So even when it's not a physical stress on your body, if you're just worrying, that glucose that's been spiked into your bloodstream doesn't get burned up with physical exercise. So it stays in your body. That extra sugar gets stored as fat and visceral fat, which is the fat around our muscular structure. And it's going to drive cravings for more of it, more quick carbs, more caffeine. So it's kind of a surmounting problem, right? Um, so even if you're decreasing your calories and watching your diet, but then you get stressed out and you swing off the wagon and start eating the high carb, high energy foods and sugars, your body can't process it as efficiently or if at all. Number two, stress steals rest. Duh. Everybody knows this. I mean, have you ever just sat in bed with your mind going with something your mind will not let you fall asleep? So you're stressed, whether it could be good stress or bad stress. It could be something that you're really passionate and thinking about. It could be something that is a problem that you're trying to solve. Whatever it is, it does steal away your rest. So it will impair your long-term memory and focus, how you are regulating your emotions. That's a no-brainer, right? I mean, when you don't get enough sleep, you're going to be snapping at people, you're going to be grumpy, you're going to be um, you might be emotional, you might cry at the silliest little things, right? If you're not getting enough sleep. And then your decision making is affected. So key takeaway here is that it's a vicious cycle, right? If you have poor sleep, you get higher cortisol, worse stress response, and around the wheel you go. So, number one was possible weight gain and bad sugar control. Two is your brain function because of lack of sleep. So, number three, your immune system. So, cortisol suppresses immune cell activity. Excuse me. So, these antibodies that we have running around to attack and defend you from getting a cold or flu or any of those other nasty creepy cruds is going to be inhibited by cortisol. Inflammation is also one of those things that we're always dealing with. Pardon me, especially with diet and um, pharmaceuticals and the energy drinks and those types of things are going to affect how our body is in an inflammatory response rather than uh, the alkaline condition. So what's the key takeaway here? If you know somebody who's always fighting off colds and infections, obviously we have immune system products for that, but it could very well be attributed by high stress levels in their life. I thought that was kind of interesting. Slower wound healing when you're under stress. Uh, Fascinating how people who will develop certain conditions just because they are under stress that they otherwise never would have. We'll get into that in our next slide here. But again, inflammation, inflammation, inflammation. We're always dealing with that. How do we decrease inflammation? Well, one is a big time change in your diet. but also some of the supplementation that you can use to decrease inflammation, which is an entirely different topic. But there are Shaklee products that are not related to just stress, but also for reducing inflammation in the body. All right, number 4, your gut health. So your digestive system is affected by cortisol production. When you're under stress, blood flow that is typically normal for your digestive operation is taken away from your intestines and used for other things. So you are no longer functioning at a higher level with your digestive system. It can reduce your stomach acid and your enzyme production, which also affects how you break down food in your system, alters your gut microbiome balance. And as we know, 80 to 90% of your immune system is attributed to a healthy gut biome, as well as a lot of brain and nervous system activity is regulated by your gut biome. So stress is shutting those key elements down in your system. Common symptoms, you're going to see people who are dealing with acid reflux. Every time they eat, they feel bloated. That could also be a digestive enzyme issue, which could help a lot. But a lot of people deal with irritable bowel syndrome or symptoms that are very closely related to that. And get this, when you're under stress, your supplements don't work as well. Interesting. You can't absorb nutrients when you have high cortisol levels that you're dealing with. And then if you've ever heard of people who just all of a sudden are now allergic to a specific food sensitivities can come from being under a lot of stress. Interesting, right? All right, so this is kind of our health chat wrapping up for tonight. It's kind of a short one. I think everybody is familiar with stress, knows about stress, but may not know particularly how bad it can mess up your body. So next week, Shackley and you could be your return to Zen to get rid of your stress. So next Monday, December 22nd, join us for our product chat on the Shackley Health products that are in your latest issue of the What's New newsletter. There are some tips and tricks here that we're going to talk about to reduce your stress, which is also going to reduce your inflammation and maybe might be your saving grace getting through the holiday season this year. Any questions at this point? Please go ahead and open up.
No question, Scott, but somebody told me a couple of days ago that worry actually works because she said 99% of what she worries about never happens.
There you go. That's true. I want to say something.
Yeah, surely.
Go ahead. Um, One of the first lines in a physician's desk reference, which is their big Bible that's inches thick, is the statement, stress is the underlying cause of every illness or chronic condition.
Mm.
So
I would believe that.
it's massive. Yeah, we really do need to deal with it. This has been great, Scott.
Thank you. Well, I mean, yeah, you look at how it affects your digestive system, your endocrine system, your sleep. Um, I mean, come on, right? I mean, all those things control so many aspects of our health. Right. Yeah, it is a leading cause of a lot of disease in your body. All right. Well, there's nothing else. Eldona, do you have something?
Well, I was just going to comment. Have you ever had anybody tell you that they don't have any stress in their life
No.
and you really worked at keeping a straight face?
Yeah.
If they tell you that, they're lying.
Or
And
yeah,
to that,
they could be completely detached from reality. They could also be on drugs. So, you never know. But
I don't think people realize that their day-to-day activities cause stress. I mean, I made a comment a while back to someone. I said, so when you're driving and somebody pulls in front of you, how do you feel? And she said, stressed. I said, well, that's kind of what happens in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Was the first time she opened up to listening about the products.
absolutely. Yeah, if you if you live in the Denver metro area and you have a driver's license, there's no escaping stress.
I remember
So
that.
true.
You don't
All right,
even
folks.
have to live in Denver.
No,
right.
no, no,
Yeah.
you do not.
Yeah, we'll
Better
testify to that.
than any city in America, I think. All right, folks. Enjoy your evening. We'll catch you next Monday night for
I do
our
want to
product overview.
comment, Scott, this was